using Gestapo tactics in Chicago. And this is what Trump wants to do, right? He wants to intimidate the people of Chicago. That's not going to happen.
That's Democrat Senator Tammy Duckworth, who has no business in the Senate whatsoever. Gestapo tactics, the evil federal law enforcement enforcing laws as passed by Congress. She's a member of Congress. Tiny little brains everywhere. Tiny, tiny little brains. Very small brains. Democrat Party is breaking away from the United States of America. The Confederate States of America include California and Illinois. Over the weekend, listen to this, the Panhandler Broadcasting System in Chicago, WTTW, 2 Chicagoans, including woman shot by federal agents, charged with ramming Border Patrol vehicle. Well, you take your vehicle and you go ramming federal agents, law enforcement agents and their vehicles, and you might get shot. I don't know what planet you people are from, but here on Earth, that would seem to be a likely outcome. The violent lunatic Democrats in Broadview, Illinois, attacking the police all weekend long. Lots of violence. A lot of them wear masks on their faces. You said, but the Democrats are okay when the criminals wear masks on their faces, just not the federal agents who are being targeted by cartels and by Democrats. But never mind that. Federal prosecutors charged 2 Chicagoans. Yeah, that's one of the things you can call them, including a woman shot by federal agents. We're supposed to feel sympathy for her. She was in the middle of committing felony crimes, attacking the police when she was shot. But never mind that. So federal prosecutors charged the 2 Chicagoans with ramming a vehicle driven by a U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent in Brighton Park on Saturday morning, sparking a heated confrontation between residents in the Southwest Side neighborhood and federal agents. The Democrat Party are starting the next war. Miramar Martinez, 30 years old, and her pal, Anthony Ian Santos Ruiz, 21 years old, are facing felony charges of forcibly assaulting, impeding, and interfering with a federal law enforcement officer. U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Andrew Boutros, said on Sunday. The incident began late Saturday morning when Martinez and Ruiz used their vehicles, plural, to strike a vehicle driven by a Border Patrol officer near West 39th Street and South Kedzie Avenue in Brighton Park, according to a statement from federal prosecutors. But the Democrats are okay with this. In fact, they're so okay with this that the left-wing radical alleged educator, mayor of Chicago, let's go Brandon Johnson, an old school teacher. You ought to ask for a refund if you took his classes. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson signs order prohibiting use of city property for immigration enforcement. This is a revolution. It's an insurrection. They are the Confederate States of America.
Today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones.
ICE-free zones.
That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
You're going to do everything you can to become the Confederate States of America, and they're going to bring back slavery before they're done. That's kind of what the illegal alien thing is all about, is cheap labor, just like the Democrat Party as the party of slavery. But the mayor of Chicago, let's go, Brandon Johnson, signed and what did he say? We are signing. You are signing. You're the mayor. You have a communist cell group signing it together. Lots and lots of violence and attacks, and the Democrats are carrying Mexican flags. They're carrying Palestinian flags. They're attacking every federal law enforcement officer that you see, and then you see the mayor and the communists that run Chicago into the side of a mountain, they're declaring that the Chicago Police Department may not come to the aid or to the assistance of federal law enforcement that are under attack. And with that, let's go to our Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that's right. Now let's go to Kristi Noem. Let's go to soundbite number 15. Soundbite number 15. Kristi Noem talking about Chicago, where ICE agents under attack all weekend long, violent mobs, Palestinian flags, Mexican flags, masks over their faces. Democrats are for violence. They're for rioting. They're for looting. They're for killing. And the Democrat Party is not an American party anymore. Kristi Noem talking about what's going on the streets of Chicago.
We had a really strange incident yesterday where we had a caravan of 10 different vehicles that were following our Border Patrol agents and officers that were out there on the streets of Chicago. And they had followed them and gotten them cornered, pinned them down. And then our agents, when getting out of their cars, they tried to run them over and had semi-automatic handguns on them to where our agents had to protect themselves, and shots were fired.
And one criminal was hit, and Democrats and PBS on our taxpayer dollar, they're supporting the crime, they're supporting the criminals, they're supporting the gangs, and they're supporting the caravan of criminals that are attacking the police. Because, I'm telling you. So, Kristi Noem, and she said, hey, why do the communists like hairpiece Gavin Newsom, they are demanding that federal agents not wear masks over their face to conceal their identities. Why? Well, all the criminals are out on the street. They're wearing masks, and Gavin Newsom doesn't have anything to say about that. Kristi Noem is talking about, well, it's a little bit of the explanation as to why some might want to wear masks.
Our intelligence indicates that these people are organized. They're getting more and more people on their team as far as attacking officers, and they're making plans to ambush them and to kill them. We have specific officers and agents that have bounties that have been put out on their heads. It's been $2,000 to kidnap them, $10,000 to kill them. They've released their pictures. They've sent them between their networks, and it's an extremely dangerous situation and unprecedented.
Unprecedented. Wait a minute. The cartels are targeting our federal agents, and the cartels have the support, the full-throated support of the Democratic Party. And the news media, what's their story? Here's ABC News. Breaking news. Protesters shot in Chicago by Border Patrol agents. It says agents, plural. I think only one shot. They were attacking Border Patrol agents who claimed they were, quote, ambushed, end quote, by convoy. Wait a minute. They've already staked out the position of the criminals, and the federal agents, law enforcement. They claim they were ambushed by convoy. Well, here's the videotape. You guys are supposed to be a TV news organization, ABC Fake News, with The View and George Stephanopoulos and Jimmy Kimmel. Just amazing and appalling stuff. Kristi Noem explaining there are bounties on their heads to kidnap them, to murder them, and the Democrat Party is with the murder cult. Just extraordinary. And Kristi Noem, the Democrats say, murdering people is free speech from where Democrats sit.
Make no mistake, this isn't just about, protesting free speech or that they don't like that people out here are upholding the law of our country. They're actually going out there and saying, kill these people and we'll give you this much money to do it.
Kill these people and we'll give you this much money to do it. And the Democrats out there in force, they have teenage girls who are morbidly obese, wearing masks over their faces and, smoking vape pens out there and picking fights with federal agents, hoping that they'll become the victim of and then ABC News will jump in there. Also yesterday we learned the Chicago Police Chief, this is CWB in Chicago. CPD, the Chicago Police Chief, barred cops from helping I'm sorry, what? Barred cops from helping federal agents, from helping federal law enforcement while they're being attacked by mobs. Chicago Police Chief barred cops from helping surrounded Border Patrol agents. And the woman who was shot by agents identified. That's their second headline. One of the highest-ranking officers in the Chicago Police Department barred city cops from responding to calls for help from federal agents who reported being surrounded by a large crowd of Brighton Park in Brighton Park on Saturday, according to Chicago Police radio transmissions. Chicago Police Chief of Patrol John Hein. Hein, that's like one of those Nazi names, isn't it? He must be a Democrat Party Nazi. Ordered city officials to leave. It's probably coming from the mayor. It's probably not the chief of patrol being ordered. It's the Democrats that are elected, and they're criminals. They're basically communists, and they're pro-crime and pro-criminal. So the chief of patrol, John Hein, ordered city officers to leave the area as tensions escalated following the shooting of a woman by Border Patrol agents, supervisors said in a recorded radio traffic. Now, here's the thing. They just left out that the woman rammed her car into one of the agents, but never mind that. It could be attempted murder. And, that's when you get shot by the police, when you're attempting to murder the police. Around 10:30 a.m., a woman called 911 and reported an Immigration Customs Enforcement agent had shot her right in the 3900 block of South Kedzie, according to Chicago Police Department dispatch records. Chicago officers initially responded to the scene where federal agents claimed the woman was armed as part of a caravan. Also, crashing a vehicle into a cop is armed. The weapon is the weapon is the vehicle is the weapon. So part of a caravan of vehicles attempting to obstruct ICE operations. She was transported to Mount Sinai Hospital with gunshot wounds to her legs, arm, and chest. Oh, she was shot more than once. On Saturday night, the Department of Homeland Security identified the woman as Miramar Martinez. She's Miramar Martinez, saying she was armed with a semi-automatic pistol and has a history of doxing federal agents. Looks like she got what's coming to her. She went out looking for this, and she got it. Congratulations, Miramar. Maramar. She's Maramar Martinez, not Miramar Martinez. Yeah, armed with a semi-automatic weapon and a history of doxing federal agents. So she's been at it for a long time. She took defensive fire from Customs Border Protection agents, has been discharged from the hospital, is currently in the custody of the FBI. I think she should get at least 150 years in prison. She should get life without parole, like the guy without the possibility of parole, like the guy that hit Nancy Pelosi's head in the head with a hammer, because he got life in prison without the possibility of parole. This woman's got a gun. She crashes her gun, it's a semi-automatic pistol, presumably. She crashes a vehicle into federal law enforcement, jumps out with a pistol. She gets shot up. And now she's going to be the hero of the Democrat Party, like Luigi Mangione and transgender Supreme Court assassins. And the Democrat Party is for murder. And isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. And we've got more for you on that as well. You know, the big wireless companies have been pulling a nasty one over on all of us for a long, long time. And that's why it's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. Listen, I made the switch. I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide big wireless coverage without the big wireless costs. And it's not just about saving money every month, although that's real good. It's about not being used and abused by your own cell phone company, taking you for granted. Do you have any idea how much data you use every month? I personally have no idea myself. Most people age 50 and up use less than 8 gigs of data in a month. But if you're 19 years old, you use 10 times that, 20 times that. And Big Wireless, they shove everybody into an unlimited plan because they need you, once they redistribute your wealth, to pay for younger people who are using 10 times as much data as you. So if you're not using all that data, you are the one being used and abused. When you've had enough of that, make the switch to Consumer Cellular. They set me up with a service and a phone It's really easy to make the switch. Speak to an actual human being on the phone, not a robot, not a touchpad. That person is right here in the United States of America, not on a space platform over Papua New Guinea. Real human beings that are actually helpful. And it only takes about 20 minutes to make the switch. So give them a call today and do the right thing by yourself. You'll thank me later. Call 1-800-760-0702. That's 800-760-0702. Yeah, the Democrats are in favor of crime. And now it's already, a sanctuary city. And now he's ordered the whole city to stop cooperating with law enforcement because he wants more murder, and he'll get it.
Today, we are signing an executive order. The order establishes ICE-free zones. They are taking police resources that should be in our neighborhoods, serving Chicagoans, and diverting them to deal with the chaos that they are causing. We need ICE out of our city.
Yeah, we need, they're causing chaos. The police are causing chaos, and the criminals represent order, good order and discipline to the left, to the Democrat Party. And I've been talking about this for some time now, how the Democrat Party is, well, they are the party of the South in the Civil War of the Confederate States of America. And their boy in the Civil War was the president of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis. The Republican was, of course, Abraham Lincoln, and they shot him in the head and killed him. And then they got into the habit of doing that, and they've done a lot of that ever since. But I was talking to my friend Vince Colonnese today, the great Vince Colonnese, just a great guy, normal guy, one of a normal American as Vince, talking about, and he's talking about this guy, Will Chamberlain, not Wilt Chamberlain, but Will Chamberlain. And Will Chamberlain is talking about, sounds like maybe he's been listening to my show, how the Democrat Party is the neo-Confederacy, the new Confederacy for the 21st century. And I've been talking about this for quite some time in various forms, and that is that the Democrat Party, what they're fighting for is cheap slave labor, illegal aliens who have no rights that they don't have to pay. But unlike when they were on plantations with bullwhips at 12 Oaks, that's a reference to a plantation and Gone with the Wind. But now they just want illegal aliens sleeping in dog beds in the basement down by the hot water heater, who will raise their children for them and clean their houses for them. And they always yell at you and you say, who do you think's cleaning the dishes in the back of the house at a restaurant? The Democrats want slavery again. They're the party of slavery in the first place. Republicans had to take their slaves away right down to Juneteenth, when the last Republicans freed the last slaves from the last Democrats.
This raid wasn't about public safety, and it's certainly not about immigration. This was about a show of authoritarianism, a forceful display of tyranny.
That's the Democrat, communist, moron, former teacher, principal, mayor of Chicago. Let's go, Brandon Johnson. It's tyranny. The Confederacy is rising again, is what we're witnessing in the United States. I had to tell you, who was the dimwit talking about Civil War? It was a couple years ago, but then they posted it again over the weekend. Oh yeah, Adam Kinzinger. He, for a moment, was a Republican member of Congress. Then he gave up all of that. And Adam Kinzinger was, he was on what? Comedy Central. Is that what he was? The Daily Show. It's all part of the propaganda apparatus of the Democrat Party and the left. And honestly, he's at it all over the place. As Kinzinger, he was, again, for a minute, a Republican. He's about as Republican as Joe Scarborough at this point. But Adam Kinzinger warns against the rising rhetoric online calling for civil war. I haven't actually, but the Democrats are certainly in the midst of all of that. And they are the party of the first Civil War, the American Civil War, because they wanted to keep slavery And now they want to keep illegal aliens, that is to say cheap labor. You see any symmetry there? Because I do. Isn't that amazing? And Adam Kinzinger, this was October of 2022, so 3 years ago now. Am I doing my gazintas? And Adam Kinzinger was on. Now, this just resurfaced because Comedy Central reposted it over the weekend. And I think the left is now out of the closet using this rhetoric.
How close are we to another civil war?
I think we're closer than we'd like to think. And I used to be afraid to talk about it. Now I think it's important for us to talk about it.
To talk about a civil war?
Yeah, because I think we have to be aware of where we're at. I don't think it's going to be north and south with large marching armies. You know, if I live in Illinois, there's going to be Republicans and Democrats in Illinois. I do think it could get violent easily.
I mean, that's scary.
It is scary.
If a sitting representative like Kinzinger thinks a second civil war is possible, it's something we need to take seriously.
Yeah, because Kinzinger, that was 3 years ago this month. They're talking about it. And I've got to say, now they're still, and again, Comedy Central tweeted this out over the weekend, this 3-year-old clip, because the left is inciting all this violence and they're perpetrating all this violence. And they're a violent party, and they're the party of slavery and the bullwhip and the plantation and the Confederate States of America and Jefferson Davis. They're the party of civil war. They're the left, and there is no more murderous gang of cutthroats in the history of humankind, quite literally, than the left, the communists and the socialists. You know, the difference between socialism and communism is 5 years. And remember what their boy Lenin said, the goal of socialism is communism. And in Seattle, Washington, run by dim-witted Democrats, they've got a 16-foot-high bronze statue of Lenin, the Bolshevik communist revolutionary in what became the Soviet Union in Russia, the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is dangerous. The American Thinker has a fine publication, has a story. Antifa, they call themselves anti-fascist. They lie. They're the fascists. Antifa stages acts of violence, shuts down streets, intimidates opponents, all in liberal cities where it's tolerated. That is more insurrection than a tweet storm. Now, the news media, they like, and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, they say, oh, it's just tweets. No, it's shootings and guns against law enforcement. And then the elected Democrats, like Let's Go Brandon Johnson, they're saying, oh, it's authoritarianism if the federal government enforces the law, when the Democrats want more crime. They want more murder, and they're getting it. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. Now, Gregory Bovino, I'll call him Greg Bovino, the chief patrol agent for U.S. Border Patrol, and he's talking about the attacks on federal law enforcement by the Democratic Party.
Not only are our law enforcement officers being targeted, death threats, and actually every day on the street they're being attacked. When we have elected leadership that continually says things like we're jackbooted thugs or Nazis or whatever they say, it appeals to those weaker-minded constituents, and they end up paying the price yet again.
Now, we played a soundbite earlier today of Tammy Duckworth, the Democrat senator from Illinois, calling, now again, the mayor of Chicago saying it's authoritarianism, they're jackbooted this, and Tammy Duckworth yesterday.
They are using Gestapo tactics in Chicago, and this is what Trump wants to do, right?
This is, I got to tell you, these people are this close to firing on Fort Sumter. That's where the Democrats really started the Civil War, in the original one. Gregory Bovino, talking about, and again, the governor of Illinois, the corpulent circumference, as he is known, J.B. Pritzker, who inherited billions from his grandfather, who actually did something. Unlike him, he should end up in a penitentiary. And the Democrat Party is violent, criminal, pro-crime, pro-criminal, anti-law enforcement, anti-federal government. And again, this is This is what the Democrats did on the lead up to their first civil war, the first civil war that they created in the United States of America. And Gregory Bovino.
Those individuals like the governor or the mayor, they feed violence. They foment this violence. And I kind of scratch my head as to why they would do that. But they are actually feeding this violence and trying to get people hurt. I wonder if they actually want Border Patrol agents and ICE officers hurt. At this point, I've almost came to that conclusion. It's a sad fact, but they continually banter that rhetoric around, and I've not heard anything on the suspects that we've arrested, the bad people and bad things that we've arrested by the thousands.
By the thousands. And now, I mean, if I won't even say what I'm thinking because it's too impolite, but the Democrat Party, they're not on our side. I've been saying this for a long time. A Democrat arrested in front of St. Matthew's Catholic Church in Washington yesterday who brought a Molotov cocktail to the annual Supreme Court Mass, the Red Mass, and he's under arrest because it's another Democrat terrorist attack that was thwarted by the police, who the Democrats want to defund, who the Democrats vilify and demonize. Just amazing. And they're all in favor of more crime and more mayhem. These guys, I'm telling you, oh yeah, Bad Bunny on Saturday Night Live. They did well. You know what? While we're talking about Bad Bunny, they got this idiot Bad Bunny, who's a racist and anti-American. He's a leftist. He's Puerto Rican, and so he's an American citizen and all that. But he's apparently a rapper who I'm supposed to be impressed with, but I'm not. And he was hosting Saturday Night Live night before last, and he didn't sing. He's supposed to be a singer, but he's so awful they didn't even want him singing. And he's going to be the halftime show at the Super Bowl, and a lot of people are talking about boycotting the Super Bowl, depending on who's playing, or certainly just turning the channel for halftime. And but here's this person who goes by the name Bad Bunny. You'd think it was a woman, but it's apparently a man. And Bad Bunny, he's Puerto Rico, Spanish speaker, and he is telling the audience of Saturday Night Live, which I did not watch again, that if you want to watch his halftime show, which will not be in English, you should learn Spanish between now and the Super Bowl.
I'm very excited to be doing the Super Bowl, and I know that people all around the world who love my music are also happy. De todo, demostrando que nuestra huella y nuestra aportación en este país nadie nunca la podrá sacar ni borrar. If you didn't understand what I just said, you have 4 months to learn.
And they all cheer. We're not an English-speaking country. We're overrun by Tren de Aragua because of the Democrat Party, the murders, the rapes, the mothers, the college girls. The Democrats are fine with all that. That's just the price you pay for what Barack Obama described as the fundamental transformation of America. The left is here to do in America at long last. And it certainly reminded Michael and me this morning of Barack Obama telling us years ago that we all have to learn to speak Spanish because the left has a plan for the United States.
Instead of worrying about whether immigrants can learn English, they'll learn English. You need to make sure your child can speak Spanish.
Yeah, because that's what we ought to be doing, is becoming a Spanish-speaking nation, because the left is racist, anti-American, anti-capitalist, anti-freedom, anti-Bill of Rights, anti-Constitution, anti-legitimate education. Just amazing stuff. All right, let's go to the telephones. Yes. All right, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Al, calling from Chicago, Illinois, listening on the great WLS. Al, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris, my friend, I love you. I saw you in Orland Park. Good news. A factory manufacturer of ventanas, I will translate windows. Their employees, at least half the staff, no está aquí. They're not there anymore. Guess what? They were raided. I've been in the home improvement, new construction business for a half a century. When I started, we employed Americans, not anymore. No mas, not today. They've undermined the wage level in this country, and the welfare state, which, of course, the Democrats handed us back in the 60s, have created a society of ne'er-do-wells. I don't have to work. You know, we're the Maynard G. Krebs of the world. Work! We don't want to work anymore. But we bring people in to clean our derrieres, of course, as you know. I was so happy to hear this. I'm waiting for an order of windows for a project, but I smiled when I heard it because I'm glad to see them go.
And it was ICE rating the Windows company because...
ICE rating, yes.
Because
no está aquí.
Most of their employees are illegally in the country. And last time I looked, illegal immigration is illegal, isn't it, Al?
And many of them are 1099s. A lot of them are not W-2s. So they're paid a check, no one withholds, and do they pay taxes? You know, Americans have got to understand the net effect in terms of government costs is $150 billion a year. That does not include private losses. That's vandalism, and all the destruction is a product of people doing harm to Americans, which, of course, our leaders don't care about.
Yeah, the Democrat Party, I got to tell you, you grew up in Chicago?
My 74 years.
And the Democrats have really, and Barack Obama, I think, is the guiltiest of them all when it comes to this fundamental transformation of America, non-English speaking country, open borders, pro-radical Islamic jihadi, Hamas, Hussein, Obama. And the Democrat Party is just not in our camp, and they're violent. And they started organizing with this Occupy Wall Street stuff years ago. And I was pointing out at the time that this is the left organizing and putting together armies of mentally ill people on their Twitter groups and their Facebook groups and their whatever is online. And they are coming. And there is no sign of them letting up. And their elected political leaders, governors and mayors, are the language of war is everywhere, and it's coming from the senior levels of the Democrat Party, elected levels of the Democrat Party. What the heck? That's what I've got to say. Where do we go from here, Al?
We have to reform the entire system. You know, the 1965 war on poverty has led to poverty being at around 13% on average for the last 60 years. It was 54% in 1900. It was 27% in 1947. What happened? It flattened out. It didn't disappear. The war was not on poverty. It was on freedom and sovereignty.
Yeah. Yeah, the left is here. I mean, I keep pointing it out because it's true, but the Democratic Party is not democratic. The Democratic Party is not liberal. These people are not liberals. This is the international left in the United States. The violence, the organized violence, they're like the Red Brigades in Italy and Western Europe years ago. And they saddled up with radical Islamic jihadis back then, too, the European left, saddled up with the left look at the 72 Olympic massacre in Munich, the left and the Islamists.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Well, there's one thing that I think is pretty good news, that not the man arrested with a Molotov cocktail outside the big Catholic church in Washington, D.C., where the Supreme Court was supposed to be having Mass for the Red Mass, the annual Red Mass. But another Democrat, another Molotov cocktail, more Supreme Court justices targeted for Democrat Party mayhem. Crazy stuff. But there is and then, of course, the Harvard professor shooting his pellet gun at the synagogue in New York, but pay no attention to that. Greta Thunberg in a bed bug-infested cell in Israel, so that's good. I'll pay Israel extra for that, and that's great stuff. But the story about the news media, which is wonderful, the Gallup polling organization, a real polling organization, the headline is, trust in media at new low of 28% in U.S. That's probably the number of people that work in the news media, 28%. Republicans' confidence in mass media to report the news fully and accurately is now at 8%. 8%. EIGHT, not 10%, not 9%, but 8%. Americans' confidence in the mass media has edged down to a new low, with just 28% expressing a great deal or a fair amount of trust in newspapers, television, and radio to report the news fully and accurately. That's down from 31% last year and 40% 5 years ago. 8% of Republicans, and rightly so. All right, we don't have a ton of time, but let's go to a telephone call, Mike. Let's go to Charlie calling from DeLand, Florida. Charlie, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Mr. Plant, good morning.
Hey, Charlie.
So over the weekend, I read 1984. I read it in high school. It was mandatory back then. But I read it again, and I saw some quote that was in there, and I thought it was very timely. Uh-huh. So in there it said, political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind. And there was one more. All issues are political issues, and politics itself is a mass of lies, evasions, folly, hatred, and schizophrenia. That's quoted from 1984, George Orwell. And
give me the murder line again. To make murder seem what?
To make murder respectable.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. That's the Democrats.
I was going to say, and what came to mind was Today in the News, right?
Yes, sir. It's just modern times. It's exactly what we're living right now.
And what was George Orwell writing about when he wrote this in 1948?
He was writing basically about how they want to memory hole everything. They want to make you forget about it and take over.
The Nazis and the commies. He's talking about the Hitlerites and the Stalinists. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable. A good grab there, I've got to say. Really a good grab, Charlie. That's fun.